Welcome to Super Saver, where we sell for less. We encourage you to take a few minutes and watch this demonstration. Our user-friendly meat sale gives you the opportunity to purchase large portions of beef and pork that you can cut to your family's specifications. Let's begin. Here is a New York strip. You'll have some fluid in the package. Don't be alarmed, this is normal. You'll need a good sharp knife. You do not need a large knife. For example, a fillet knife will work well, but it must be sharp. The marbling in the steaks tells us that it will have good flavor. You can cut the strips to meet your family's needs. You will notice the color of the meat will turn bright red as it is exposed to the air. The next step will be to trim the fat from each strip. You simply trim the fat off. This will help keep the strips from flaring up on the grill. As you can see, we were able to get 15 strips from this one package. The next step is to wrap each strip in freezer paper. Always start with a corner, fold the paper over, wrap turn one side in, and roll again. Now fold the other side in, and you will end up at the opposite corner. Now place your strips in best choice freezer bags. Let's recap. You need a sharp knife, cut the strips to the desired thickness, trim the fat from each strip, wrap in freezer paper, and place in freezer bags. Next, we will prepare a beef chuck roll. We will cut chuck roasts, chuck steaks, chuck eyes, and stew meat. Notice the big end and the smaller end. The roll will be looser on the large end and tighter on the smaller end. Cut the smaller end first. We will cut a couple of steaks off the end. A good sharp knife is necessary. Now we will cut a couple of chuck eyes. You can cut the chuck eye out by placing your knife in the fat seam. It comes apart very easily. The chuck eyes can be prepared in your broiler or on your grill, and if you want to get fancy, you can wrap bacon around them. The top portion of the meat will make excellent stew meat. As you can see, the chuck eye was pulled out of the seam. Now we will cut some steaks and roasts. A chuck steak would be sliced to about 1-inch thickness. When you get to the end of the piece, you will need to trim off some of the meat around the edges. This will make excellent stew meat. You can use as much fat in the stew meat as you would like. A chuck roast is cut about 2 inches or more, depending on your family size. We have 7 roasts, 1 chuck steak, 2 chuck eyes, and stew meat from this piece. You will notice that we had very little waste. We will now wrap the roasts from corner to corner, tucking the side in, rolling again, and tucking the other side in, ending up at the corner. This is a boneless ribeye. We will cut steaks and a roast. The first steak will not be as uniform as the rest of them. Cut thinner pieces for steaks, or a thicker piece for a standing rib roast, commonly referred to as prime rib. Normally, you will get a nice rib roast and 10 steaks from this one piece. Do you want to impress the neighbors or your extended family? Let's prepare a boneless pork loin. There will be a little purge. Don't be concerned about this. It's just a little fluid. Notice we will use a sharp fillet or a boning knife. You can cut these chops thin for breakfast chops or thicker for the grill. You can cut a center-cut pork loin roast. Now, if you want to impress guests, take the time to wrap the chops with a piece of bacon. Use a toothpick to fasten. These will look great on the grill. To recap, we cut breakfast chops, pork chops for the grill, and a roast from this boneless pork loin. Now we will wrap the roast with freezer paper. Again, start at the corner and roll it corner to corner, tucking in your sides. You can cut a butterfly chop from your thicker chops. Simply take a thicker chop and cut almost through the center and lay it open. This will allow the chop to cook quicker on the grill or prepared in a skillet. Another thing you can do with a butterfly cut is to stuff it with stuffing and then bake it for a delicious stuffed pork chop. What we have here is a bag of pork sirloins. Each one will have 5 pieces. These pieces will be juicier or wetter. This makes them a little more difficult to cut. The face of the piece is the thicker end and it will taper down. You will cut on the face of each piece. We have cut 3 chops from these pieces, and with the remainder you can cut stew meat, kebab meat, or thinner slices will give you a stir-fry meat. Again, each piece tapers down and you will want to cut on the face to make a chop. You can leave the piece larger for a nice pork roast.